friends, and welcome to Miss Nancy's house, where we can play and learn together. Today, I'd like to go and visit a place called Haynes Orchard because I called them and they have raspberries that are ready for picking. And I thought that maybe we'd be able to go and pick some raspberries with some friends of mine and then come home and I thought we'd make freezer jam. It's really not hard, and with a little bit of help, I think you could do this yourself at home. You could even buy the raspberries from the store if you wanted to, or maybe you have some in your refrigerator. You could do this with almost any berry. But today, we're going to go and pick raspberries at a farm. It's going to be so fun. Thank you for joining me today, and I hope that you're ready for some fun. I want to tell you some facts about raspberries that I learned from Mr. Hayne when I was at his farm. He told me that there are over 200 different kinds of raspberries, and most are red, but you'll also find purple or gold or black. Raspberries were once a symbol for kindness, which I think is so wonderful. They can be eaten fresh or canned. They can be made into jams or pastries or even frozen. Raspberries are a great source of vitamin C, vitamin A, iron, manganese, and magnesium. They grow in places where the summer is not very hot and the winter is not very cold. And they grow on these prickly bushes called brambles. The brambles make small flowers, and those flowers develop into the berries. When a raspberry is picked, the core stays on the plant. That is why a raspberry is hollow inside. One plant produces a few hundred raspberries per year. The root of the raspberry can survive for up to 10 years. And raspberries grow biennial, which means that every other year they can produce raspberries. I thought this was very interesting. To make our raspberry freezer jam, we just need to have our fresh berries, and I have 6 cups of fresh berries that we picked at the raspberry orchard. And then we need 5 cups of sugar. And I know that sounds like a lot of sugar, but if you think about it, we only put about a teaspoon on a piece of bread when we eat it, or a cracker. And then we also need some kind of a thing called pectin, and I use Jell pectin. And we mix this with water on the stove. 3/4 cups water mixed with this makes it turn into like a gel. The jam will firm up. But you might want to have a grown-up help you with this part because it's kind of tricky and I don't want anybody to get burned by the stove. That would be really scary. And then I also have little containers that I'm going to put the jelly in or the jam in before we put it in the freezer, so that you have a container that has a nice strong lid on it that will close up so that you can keep it fresh in the refrigerator or the freezer. So I think we have everything. Oh, and I also need a potato masher. I use a potato masher because I want to mash up the berries just a little bit. Do you have one of these in your kitchen? I like to do all kinds of things with this potato masher. The first thing I'm going to do is pour my berries into the bowl. And remember, I washed them very well. So then I just take my potato masher and mash them. Not too much, but I do want them to bring out the juice just a little bit in these berries. So after I finish with those, then I pour in 2 more cups. Oh. them. I think this is the funnest part of making jam, is the mashing part. And my last 2 cups. Mash, mash, mash. Now, I think that's pretty good. It's kind of syrupy, but I still have fruit in there. I still have berries that you can see. Now, I'm going to add sugar a little bit at a time. So first, I'll add a cup of sugar. Now that I've added the sugar, I'm just going to mix it up with my berries. Oh, it smells so good. It really does. This is going to be some delicious raspberry jam. Now I add a little bit more sugar. Sugar is not something that I like to eat every day, but it's something that I like to have like jam on a piece of toast in the morning, or maybe even mixing it with peanut butter or almond butter on a sandwich, or even sun butter. That's good too. I see the berry needs a little bit of mashing over there. Some more sugar. 5 cups is a lot, but it makes it very sweet and delicious. The bowl is getting really full with all this sugar that I'm adding. Bit of sugar. It almost looks like jam right now, but it's not thick enough to be jam because I need to mix the pectin to make it turn into jam so that I can spread it. What I could do with this right now is maybe I could freeze it and use it to cover ice cream, or I could use it to add raspberries to my waffles, or maybe to cookies, where I would need something that was a little bit thicker and a little bit sweeter than just regular raspberries. Okay, now I'm going to go and mix up my pectin on the stove. What I need to do is take this and mix it with 3/4 cups of water, and I boil it on the stove, and then I add it to this. And that will be just about perfect. So if you look at my pan, there's steam coming out of it because it's very hot. I heated it on the stove with the pectin and the 3/4 cup of water. Now remember, you're going to have to ask a grown-up to help you do this part because you need to make it boil and it gets very hot. But the rest of it, I think that you could do on your own with a little bit of help. Now I add this to my raspberry mixture with the sugar and the raspberries. And I add this. Get as much of it out of the pan as I can. Put that aside, and then I mix this up. My bowl is getting very full. but it smells so good. And I need to make sure that it mixes very well. I have my pectin all mixed in, so now I'm going to pour the jam into the containers. And I want them to be almost all the way to the top, but not quite all the way. And do you see how I kind of messed it up, kind of slopped it on the side? All I'm going to do is wipe that off in a little bit. And that'll happen. It's okay. Let me get some more containers. Like I said, it's a little messy, but that's okay. This jam is going to be delicious. And when you get it all in your containers, you let it sit for one whole day and one whole night. So I won't do anything with this until tomorrow. But I put the lids on and I close it up and I let it sit on my table for one whole day and one whole night. And then I can either put it in the refrigerator or the freezer. If I put it in the refrigerator, it will last for about 3 weeks. If I put it in the freezer, it'll last for a whole year. So I'll put some of these in the freezer so that I can have fresh raspberry jam next winter. And it'll be delicious to have on a piece of toast. I went to my local library and got some books about raspberries and other fruits, so I wanted to show you those today. This one is called Our Raspberry Jam, and it's by David E. Marks. And I like it because it talks about a family picking raspberries and making raspberry jam together. It's kind of a nice story. Look, she even has the raspberry jam all over her face. And they save the raspberry jam. They eat a lot and then they save it for the next winter. So that's what you could do at your house. This next book is called Each Peach Pear Plum, and it's by Janet and Alan Alberg. It's kind of an older story, but I really like it because it talks about nursery rhymes, and it kind of goes through them and talks about eating different foods, but it also ends up talking about fruits. So I thought this might be a nice story to read at your house too. This story, Stella and the Berry Thief by Jane B. Mason, is a nice book too. It's a little bit longer, but I still think you might enjoy it. It talks about how Stella makes raspberry jam and then a bear comes and visits and he wants some too. So it's an interesting story how they work it all out. This story, Jamberry by Bruce Deegan, is one of my favorites. I really like it because it's been around for a long time, but also it has some very tricky rhyming words that I think you might like to read. So I'm actually going to read it with you today. I thought it would be a fun story to read together. Now remember, this book has some tongue twisters in it, so I hope I don't make any mistakes. I'll try my very best. One berry, two berry, pick me a blueberry. Hatberry, shoeberry, in my canoeberry. This bear and this boy seem to be having a lot of fun. Under the bridge and over the dam, look for the berries, berries for jam. Oh my goodness. They went right over the dam, and now there's blueberries all over the place. Ah. 3-berry, 4-berry, hayberry, strawberry, finger and pawberry, my berry, your berry. Those look really tasty too. Strawberry ponies, strawberry lambs, dancing in meadows of strawberry jam. Quickberry, quackberry, pick me a blackberry. Trainberry, trackberry, clickety-clackberry. Rumble and ramble in blackberry bramble, billions of berries for blackberry jamble. Look at all those blackberries, lots of them. Raspberry, jazzberry, razzmatazberry, berry band, merry band, jamming in berryland. Raspberry rabbits, raspberry band, elephants skating on raspberry jam. Oh my goodness. And look at their clothes, all covered with raspberries. Moonberry, starberry, cloudberry sky, boomberry, zoomberry, rockets shoot by. Could you imagine a giant raspberry? Mountains and fountains rain down on me, buried in berries. What a jamboree. Those look so delicious. And that's the end. We had so much fun today, learning all about raspberries. We got to go to the raspberry farm and we picked raspberries, and then we came home and made raspberry jam. We read some raspberry books, and we learned all about raspberries. That was really fun. Now, I have my raspberry jam in my container, and I let it sit for 24 hours. That's a whole day and a whole night. So now, remember to put it in the refrigerator, and you can eat it for 3 weeks. Or if you put it in the freezer, you can leave it in there for a whole year. So you can even leave it in the freezer until next January, and then pull it out and have fresh raspberry jam. It might be really good. I know mine is. I tasted it this morning. Thank you so much for coming to visit today. I'm glad that you were here, and I'm glad that we got to play together. I hope that you can come again soon to visit Miss Nancy's house. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.